One night manifestation technique. Do this before bed. This is Hyptoria. Hypnotize you to manifest. The sacred window before sleep. 10 seconds. That's all it takes to ignite an entirely new dimension of your life. One conscious breath under the blankets, one gentle shift in thought, and you've stepped into a portal. Most people never notice it, rushing through bedtime, mind racing, never realizing they stand at the edge of creation. But the universe is listening here. This hour, just before sleep, is sacred, not because of silence, not because of rest, but because your mind opens its gates to receive. You see, there is a window narrow but infinitely deep that opens as your consciousness softens. The moment your body grows heavy and your awareness begins to float, you touch the seam between conscious direction and subconscious response. You're no longer wide awake and deliberate, yet not quite surrendered to dreams. That moment is the threshold. That is where reality begins to bend. This is when the language changes from logic to imagery, from words to feeling, from striving to allowing. And here, if you speak fluently in that silent language, the universe responds immediately. Every night, just before you drift away, your mind becomes tender, a damp soil ready for seed. What you impress upon it in those last drowsy minutes becomes a command, not a request, not a possibility, a command. You're not forcing the universe to obey. You're not begging for change. Creation responds, not because it's impressed by your effort, but because it recognizes dominion in your inner tone. This sacred window is the doorway to realities unseen. When you approach sleep with awareness, you step into your role as conscious creator, not merely hoping for change, but becoming the one who activates it from within. The transition from wakefulness to sleep is not a shutdown. It's a handing off, from the commander, your conscious mind, to the builder, your subconscious. And what you hand off in those final moments will be quietly constructed into the energetic blueprint of your world. Why is this moment so powerful? Because it's the pause. In the stillness between intentions and surrender, the veil thins. You're in alpha, then theta. The brain no longer clenches with analysis. Thought becomes suggestion. Details dissolve. Resistance sleeps, but awareness remains. Just soft enough to bypass how and lean into it is. You've likely felt it before, without knowing. That delicious in-between state, where you don't want to think too hard, but you're not dreaming yet either. That's the divine hinge, and it swings open every single night. The sacred window needs no ritual robes, no candles or crystals, though you may enjoy them. What it asks for is presence, not worry, not repetition, but a subtle shift in your inner signal. You don't have to scream your affirmations, script your desires 10 times over, or visualize for hours. The depth of this moment makes intensity unnecessary. Intention whispers here, and yet it echoes across lifetimes. As you lie down tonight, notice what you feel. Not just what you say, but what you carry. Does your heart pulse with lack, or does it hum with knowing? Are you thinking of what hasn't come, or silently celebrating the feeling that it's already yours? Because this is the secret of the technique. It's not what you think just before sleep. It's what you let yourself feel just before fading into the night. That feeling, that frequency, becomes your instruction. When you begin to treat this moment with reverence, everything in your field recalibrates. Sleep becomes more than recovery. It becomes reinvention. There is no effort here, only soft awareness, trust, and an allowing of your inner vision to merge with the ether. Think as you wish your world to be. Feel as if it's already arrived, then drift. No grasping, no watching the clock. Let go as you would sliding into a warm pool, knowing you will rise differently in the morning. The world trains us to hustle in the daylight, but creation has always belonged to the dark, to the soft, the mystical, the in-between. That final 5 minutes before sleep is not a gap. It's a garden, and tonight you will begin planting differently. Because now, you know the portal exists. You've remembered what most forget. That right before you fall asleep, you're not releasing the day, you're writing the beginning of the next one. Your subconscious never sleeps. There is a part of you that never blinks, never rests, and never questions. It listens endlessly and faithfully. While your physical body dissolves into comfort and stillness at night, your subconscious mind remains wide awake, active, absorbing, creating. It hears the final whispers of your day and accepts them as gospel. Your last thoughts before entering sleep do not fade into silence. They echo, shaping your reality in ways your conscious mind barely remembers come morning. This is not metaphor. It is law. Your subconscious is not selective or skeptical. It does not distinguish between imagination and fact, desire and disappointment, truth and story. It only knows what you feed it, and it accepts all. The subconscious is neutral, but deeply obedient. In many ways, it is the most loyal servant you have. Every night, when you surrender your awareness and slide into sleep, you hand it the blueprint, and it follows it with precision. That late-night worry? It doesn't disappear with your dreams. It plants itself, like a seed, into the soil beneath your awareness. That longing, that wish, that quiet, maybe someday? It too takes root, especially when felt with emotion. You can't numb your feelings into sleep and expect your waking life to bloom. The thoughts you carry across the fading light of consciousness become commands, instructions, etched with the ink of emotion. If you've ever woken up feeling behind, burdened, or uncertain, despite having good intentions the day before, you're not broken. You're simply manifesting old instructions. The unseen roads of your reality were paved in a language your conscious mind didn't even notice, spoken softly, half asleep, often unnoticed but deeply believed. The beauty is, this very mechanism can be flipped. It already works. You don't have to fix it, just redirect it. When you become aware of the power behind nightly thoughts, you don't need to force anything through willpower during your waking hours. You don't have to repeat affirmations 1,000 times, or strive to stay positive all day. Your influence does not peak when you are alert and trying. It peaks when you are relaxed and feeling. Because the subconscious doesn't tire, even when the body does, the hour before sleep becomes your sacred moment of recreation. This is when the conscious guard counters your affirmations, analyzes the how, and second-guesses your dreams go. In that lull between awareness and surrender, the veil thins, and beneath it, your truest potential is waiting to be whispered into, the one that finally lets imagine. Your subconscious is the fertile ground beneath a calm night sky. Most are unknowingly planting weeds in that soil, echoing their fears just before falling asleep. What if, instead, you planted stars? What if, instead of rehearsing doubts and replaying disappointments, you let the last thoughts of your night match the reality you long to taste? Reprogramming doesn't have to feel like reprogramming. You don't need rituals built from hours of effort. You need presence. You need softness. You need one willing moment of feeling, just enough to impress the earth of your subconscious. When that ground is impressed with a vibration, it mirrors it back without delay or distraction. This is how manifestation becomes natural. Not when the mind battles itself, but when the seed is planted with relaxed conviction, when intention flows into feeling, and feeling flows effortlessly into sleep. You are not begging life to change. You are feeding your inner world something new to accept, and the part of you that never sleeps takes it from there. Do not let the simplicity fool you. You are not doing nothing. You are doing what matters most. Each night, you are either unconsciously reinforcing the life you wish to escape, or consciously instilling the life you're ready to live. Once you realize this, every bedtime becomes a portal, not just for rest, but for reset. Because the subconscious doesn't keep score. It doesn't care how long you believe the old story. It will begin reflecting the new one, the very first night you dare to feel different. Let your desires drift into sleep with you. Let them be the last sensation hanging in the air as your thoughts grow slow and your breath deepens. You don't need to push. You only need to feel, softly, sweetly, as if the thing you wanted has already found you. Because in the eyes of your subconscious, it has. There is no chase here, just alignment. And alignment occurs not in effort, but in surrender. Tonight, when you let your head rest on the pillow, remember, your subconscious is listening long after your eyes close. Feed it only what you wish to grow. Let the others rehearse their problems in the dark. You, the conscious creator, will rehearse your dream. Not as something to hope for, but as something to remember. Something already accepted, already becoming, already done. Impressing the wish fulfilled. You don't need to force what's already real. Creation does not begin with effort. It begins with assumption, a quiet inner knowing that says, it is already mine. When you carry that feeling as you fall asleep, your subconscious accepts it without resistance, and that's when manifestation begins to unfold on autopilot. The most powerful instructions you can ever give your reality are delivered when you are still, slow, and sinking into sleep. Not when you're scripting endlessly. Not when you're overthinking your vision in broad daylight, but when you're soft, tender, and open, right at that drowsy edge where the body fades but the mind still lingers. That is the womb of creation. This chapter holds the true heart of the one-night manifestation technique, impressing your subconscious with the wish fulfilled. It's not just seeing it, and it's not begging for it like it's missing. It's becoming someone who already has it, lives it, breathes it, and then softly drifting off, as if tonight were just another night in the life of that version of you. Sleep doesn't respect effort. It answers to identity. Who you are in the final minutes before drifting off is who life listens to the most. That's why the goal isn't to visualize with precision or script pages of details. The goal is to gently feel the truth of the scene, as if it's already done, and let your subconscious record it as memory. Imagine this: your desire has already happened. You're not reaching, you're remembering. What would that scene feel like if it were a memory from today, not a hope for tomorrow? What would the moment after look like? Not the peak or the explosion of success, but the naturalness that comes once it's yours. That's the secret. Subtlety. Your subconscious doesn't respond well to drama. It responds to believability. You are not here to convince your mind. You are here to soothe it until the feeling of your desired reality feels ordinary, safe, familiar, like it's always been waiting for you. The mistake many people make is trying to manifest through intensity, through desperation. But the quantum field bends fastest for those who rest in the assumption that the change has already occurred. When you drop effort, you rise into alignment. So, tonight, don't try to make it happen. Instead, select a single imaginal act, a simple scene that naturally implies your wish is fulfilled. Not tomorrow, now. Perhaps it's you looking at a message of congratulations. Perhaps it's a friend saying, "I'm so happy for you." Maybe it's you brushing your teeth, thinking to yourself, "It's finally done." Small, soft, but undeniable. That's the frequency we impress. As you lie down to sleep, rehearse this scene in your mind gently, the way you'd recall a pleasant memory. You're not forcing the image to stay. You're floating in and out of it, like a soft wave brushing against the shore of your subconscious. The feeling is quiet certainty. The energy is calm wholeness. Let the experience become emotional, not intellectual. Let your body relax while your inner world rises and takes over. Feel the warmth, the relief, the gratitude, not from wishing, but from already receiving. Dwell there as long as it feels delicious, then drift away. This is not a practice of perfection. It's a practice of permission. You are permitting your subconscious to take hold of a new story by feeling like it's already yours. And once it feels familiar to your nervous system, it must arrive. You don't need loops, repetition, or rewiring in the moment of sleep. You only need one deeply felt transmission, one delivery of self as already fulfilled. The subconscious does not act from time, it acts from tone. And the right emotional tone, impressed once, can rewire an entire energetic blueprint. This is why one night can change everything. Because whether it took you years to want it, or moments to imagine it, creation only hears one signal. Is this who you are now? Say yes without words, nod inwardly, relax fully, release it as if it's done, because it is. The bridge of incidents will follow, but you won't be the one chasing it. You'll be the one waking into it. Your job is not to control tomorrow. Your job is to surrender into alignment tonight. The rest is already delivered. Drift into the feeling of the end. There is a moment, soft and sacred, when your waking mind begins to dissolve. Your body slows, logic loosens its grip, and you begin to drift, not into sleep, but into something more powerful, into the invisible current of creation. This is where you stop trying. This is where you start being. Manifestation doesn't need grand effort. It needs gentle permission. In these final moments before sleep, what you feel becomes your offering to the subconscious. Not your to-do lists, not your worries, not your questions about how, just your state of having, your inner confirmation that it is already done. This chapter is your invitation to end your night as if your desire has already come to pass. Not to pretend, not to force a vision, but to drift softly, organically, effortlessly into the feeling of it, fulfilled. Think of it like changing your internal weather. You don't have to detail every scene of your future. You only have to wrap yourself in the temperature of its arrival. What would peace feel like if you were already there? What would ease do to your body if you were already living in the outcome you seek? That's the tone to carry when the curtain of consciousness falls. And you don't need many minutes, just those last golden ones, before the world goes quiet. You are no longer the thinker. You are the feeler, the soft receiver. This is the divine shift, from dialogue to vibration, from desire to embodiment. Many mistake this process as imaginary play, but it's more intimate than that. It's choosing a frequency and resting in it, letting it surround you like a warm blanket, no effort needed. As you lay in bed, let your body settle, let the room fade, let language dissolve. Now gently call into your mind the version of you that has it, not in detail, but in energy. What emotion lives in that world? Relief? Joy? Security? Smile if you feel like it. Exhale if you feel softness. It doesn't have to look powerful. It only has to feel familiar enough to nestle into the subconscious is true. Don't worry about seeing anything clearly. Some nights you'll feel it more than you see. Some nights you'll catch a fleeting image or a whispered sentence in your mind. That's enough. The subconscious speaks fluent emotion. It only raises its head for feeling. It doesn't need a script. It needs consistency in tone. So let yourself feel the conclusion of what you desire, not the process of getting there. Imagine you're at the end of the movie, not the start. Sink into a mood where your desire is no longer a wish, it's a memory being relived, not forced, just gently re-entered. You're not creating from scratch. You're aligning with something already written, something your soul remembers. You may think, is this really enough? Am I really doing it? And the answer is yes, if you're feeling it, however faintly. The end isn't loud. It's settled, calm, quiet, in its knowing. When you drift into that subtle sensation of certainty, even if your outer world says otherwise, you've done it. You've created a new subconscious map, and you did it by letting go instead of holding on. You've whispered instructions to the deepest part of you, and that's where creation begins. Every night, you get to choose the frequency you fall asleep in, and the feeling you fall asleep with leads the story of tomorrow. So let your final breath before sleep be laced with peace. Let your final thought be, it's done. Not as a mantra, but as a mood. Let yourself go fully into that beautiful state of fulfilled being. You don't need to visualize it perfectly. You only need to feel it truly. And then drift. Let sleep take you. Let the night carry you. The work is already done. The seed is planted. Now you float into rest. Gentle, held in the frequency of the end. The power of drowsy imagination. There is a hidden, golden moment that most people overlook. That floaty, flickering space where your body feels heavy, but your mind is still just awake enough to play. This is the drowsy state. Not quite here, not yet gone. You've felt it before, when your eyes want to close, your limbs give in to gravity, and thoughts begin to unravel without logic or resistance. In that mysterious in-between, you hold the greatest power to plant a desire so deep into your subconscious, it doesn't just grow, it blooms overnight. The drowsy state is not accidental. It is designed. It's the sacred bridge into the quantum. In religious texts and ancient initiations, it was often referred to as the trance, the veil, or the twilight gate. In modern language, you might call it that sweet spot between alpha and theta brainwaves, the space where your analytical mind takes a pause, and the deeper dimensions become accessible. But you don't need to understand brain chemistry to feel it. You already know the way. You access it every night, unconsciously. Now, it's time to become conscious in it. Imagination in this drowsy state doesn't just visualize, it creates. When your mind is soft and surrendered, every image you hold carries weight. Not because you're doing it right, but because you're not resisting it anymore. You're not busy questioning how, when, or if it'll work. You're not trying to figure it out, you're simply being it. This effortless innocence is the canvas on which manifestation accelerates. In this intimate state, the subconscious doesn't need convincing. It doesn't argue with logic or timing. It simply accepts. And what it accepts, it expresses. So let yourself linger there. Don't rush into sleep as if it's an end. Let it be the beginning. When you lay your head down and feel the hazy softness taking over, don't try to control the images, gently guide them. Choose one simple imaginable act, not a movie, not a montage, just a single moment, short and complete, that feels like the wish already fulfilled. Maybe it's the whisper of someone saying, "Congratulations." Maybe it's a scene of you smiling in your new home. Maybe it's a feeling consciousness, a freedom, relief, joy, arrival. Let that be the last thing you kiss. There is no need to force the picture, and there is never any pressure to feel it hard enough. What works here is subtlety. Imagination speaks in symbols more than sentences. The drowsy mind doesn't respond to firm commands. It responds to feeling, tone, and mood. It understands what you feel as truth, not what you think as affirmation. So let the image be gentle. Let it be real in sensation, not perfect in detail. Trust that the subconscious doesn't need to see the mansion brick by brick to bring it to you. It only needs to believe that you already live there. You may notice that in this state, your scene begins to play without your help. It starts animating itself. It feels natural, almost like a memory, not a fantasy. That's good. The scene is being impressed, not just imagined, impressed. That means you are no longer outside of it wishing, you are inside of it, living. The difference is subtle, but it collapses time. Because once the subconscious accepts your end as already real, outer conditions arrange themselves to reflect it. There is no need to repeat the image multiple times, unless your mind still has energy to do so gently. One honest drift into the feeling is worth more than an hour of tense visualization. The power of drowsy imagination lives in its softness. And this softness is not weakness. It's sacred surrender. It's your return to the frequency of effortless creation, where the desire begins to play without your help. It starts animating, becomes one with the dream, and the dream becomes one with the divine. Sleep will naturally take over soon. Let it come. Fall into it with the inner scene still quietly glowing in the background, as if it's tucking you in. You've performed the sacred act. You've planted within the most responsive terrain. From here, you do not chase. You rest. The inner scene takes root while you sleep, and you awaken in a world more aligned with the version you embodied right before you let go. The truth is, you don't manifest through control, you manifest through communion. And nothing brings you closer to that divine intimacy than the drowsy imagination where you do not demand a new reality. You become it, quietly, and fall asleep inside the knowing that creation is already done. Sleep as the state of creation. Sleep is not an escape. It is entrance, a portal, a sacred passage into something far more creative than the conscious mind could ever comprehend. While the world views sleep as rest, the awakened you must now see it differently, as arrival, as the final act in each daily play you write from within. What you carry into sleep, you carry into the womb of all creation. At the threshold of sleep, your outer senses soften, the noise quiets, and for the first time all day, your thoughts no longer have to shout over the world. In this stillness, you become impressively powerful, not because you're forcing anything, but because you've become receptive. When the body relaxes, the subconscious opens like a flower tilting into moonlight, ready, waiting, willing to create. Let me say plainly, it is not the hours spent awake that determine your manifestations, it's what you fall asleep as. Who you are when you go to bed is more important than who you try to be when the sun is out. Because sleep is rehearsal. It is impression. It's where your imagination is recorded as law, and law manifests. Think to yourself, what version of me tucks into bed each night? Is it the one who feels behind, afraid, unworthy, reaching? Or is it the one who knows, in her body, in his breath, that all is done, that destiny has already sighed in relief? Most people fall asleep replaying old scenes, regretting, rehearsing what didn't go right, ruminating over what might go even worse. This, unknowingly, is their bedtime affirmation. But not you. Not now. You are conscious, and you are deliberate. You understand that the state you fall asleep in, you seal into the subconscious. You make it real. That is the power most ignore, but you no longer will. Creation doesn't need 10 steps, endless affirmations, or strained control. Creation needs openness, willingness, a brief sliver of felt reality, followed by silence. That is sleep. That is manifestation. The moment you surrender into bed, knowing your desire is already complete, and then drift into silence, You activate the state where magic replaces strategy. Every night can be a ceremony if you let it. Close your eyes, not just to end the day, but to begin the birthing. Hold the frequency of fulfillment like a secret you fall asleep smiling into. Don't try to force visions. Don't beg your mind to believe. Simply rest in the feeling of relief, of trust, of already done. That's the fabric your subconscious weaves into morning's circumstances. Reality was designed to mirror your inner being without judgment. It doesn't care how many hours you worked, how badly you want it, or how realistic it is. It only says yes to what you live, and you live most purely in that electric drifting moment between waking and sleep. There, free from logic and ego structure, you become clay in your own hands. Let sleep be where you release the old script, unstitch the comparisons, and come back to divine neutrality, the place where your desires are no longer achievements, but conditions of your being. You don't want the thing you want to be the one who has it, so become them now. Make them your bedtime identity. Then let sleep take it from there. There is a delicious moment when you're not yet fully unconscious, but your thoughts float. You're not guiding anymore. You're gliding. This is your holy place. Whisper the new truth into your body. Imagine with no expectation, just gentle knowing. Don't worry if a scene doesn't come. Don't worry if you don't feel it strong enough. What matters is intention fused with surrender. A single drop of truth can ripple a lifetime forward. Sleep is not separate from spirituality. It is a spiritual act, a bridge to what your conscious mind alone cannot lift. So tonight, when your body grows heavy and your eyelids begin to fall, don't bring your fears, bring your fulfilled self. Tell the subconscious softly, "This is who I am now." Say nothing more. Let the pillow become an altar. Let each breath slip you deeper into embodiment. You are not daydreaming, you are becoming, and the universe listens best when you are quiet. Fall asleep not as someone needing to manifest, but as someone who has already received. That state, that identity, is the signal. That's the coded language of the subconscious. Not words, not works, but state. Energy, frequency. And so each night, as you close your eyes, you open your world anew. Not by trying, but by letting go. Let sleep do what it has always done for the initiated. Deliver without delay, manifest without struggle, and make real what was once a whisper on the edge of your imagination. Assume it's already done, then rest. The moment you assume it is done, it is. All creation is finished. You're not here to beg, chase, or struggle your way into alignment. You're here to rest in what already belongs to you, to enter the stillness where the desire is not a future wish, but a current truth. Your only task is assumption, not the mental kind that tries to force belief, but the felt knowing, the kind that melts through your body like warm honey, quieting every doubt until all that remains is, of course. When you assume from the end, you are no longer hoping. You are returning. This desire has already happened, already unfurled, already found its way into the world you're just remembering now. Assumption isn't delusion. It's divine memory. Your soul has seen this reality before, and that soft ache you feel, that's longing wrapping itself around a version of you who already lives it. Assumption brings that version to life, not through effort, but through being. As you lie in bed and silently claim, "It's mine," your energy shifts, your body loosens, and your subconscious begins responding with the exact images, emotions, and insights needed to affirm that inner certainty. You don't need to rehearse every step. In fact, you're not meant to. The how is not your job. Let the mind rest from strategy. Give up the chase. You are not hosting a manifestation performance every night. You are re-entering in an inner home that never stopped existing. Rest is not a setback in this path. It's the access point. Because when you rest in the assumption that it's already done, you pierce through resistance and enter the space where reality rearranges for you. So many sabotage this process by waking up and checking. Checking if it worked yet. Checking the timeline. Checking if they still feel high vibe. But assumption doesn't look for evidence. It breathes as evidence. It is the state of undisputed knowing. You don't stand at the oven asking, "Is the cake ready?" every minute. You trust the process because the ingredients have already been set into motion. And time, the illusion of delay, is simply the final act of alignment. In this sacred nighttime technique, The most powerful step is surrender. A surrender that doesn't feel like a void but like fullness. Take your desire into your heart, like it's the most natural thing. No asking, no needing, just presence. If you cannot see it, feel it. If you cannot feel it, imagine how peaceful you would be if you knew it were done, and let that peace be enough. What you do just before you fall asleep, that echo molds the entire night ahead. So don't reach. Rest. Rest into the wish fulfilled. Rest into the version of you for whom this manifestation is already old news. Rest like the journey is over and joy has bloomed in its place. Let the body soften. Let the thoughts dissolve. Let a smile touch your lips from no reason other than knowing it worked. You're resting now because the work of becoming is complete. It doesn't matter if the external world hasn't caught up yet. Reality is only ever mirroring who you are on the inside. An assumption makes it instantaneous. When you let yourself fall asleep inside the version that has, not the one who wants the world has no choice but to adjust. So tonight, lay down as a creator who lacks nothing. Let desire become memory. Let longing be replaced by presence. Feel the sensation that it's already yours, and in that feeling, find deep rest. Let the soft rhythm of your breath remind you, it's done, it's done, it's done. And so it is. Let the night do the work. You were never meant to carry it all. The manifestation, the vision, the how, the when, the timeline. That was never your real job. Your role has always been to feel the end and rest, not to manipulate it into form. Just to receive, just to know, just to let the night do the work that the mind cannot do. There is a point, right between the last thought and the first dream, where reality begins to reorder itself. You don't see it, you don't control it, but you feel it, and that's more powerful than any plan. This is where the real alchemy happens, beneath the surface of your senses, in the sacred soil of the subconscious. While you sleep, the quantum field begins to respond to what you've accepted as true. And the beauty is, it requires no effort on your part, only surrender. We are conditioned to believe that if we're not working hard, pushing, doing, or moving, nothing is happening. But the deepest, most potent forces of the universe operate in silence. No striving, only stillness. This chapter is your permission to release. You've already done the sacred part. You've felt it real. You've entered the scene in your imagination. You've touched the vibration of your desire being done. Now you rest like a child who knows their wish has been heard. And more than heard, answered. Let the night embody what your mind cannot. The subconscious knows how to build what your logic can't conceive. While you sleep, your inner world begins reshaping the outer, piece by piece, person by person, moment by moment, not through force, through frequency. You're not here to figure it out, you're here to drift into the knowing that everything needed is gathering itself in unseen ways. You've entered the dream, and the dream is entering you. There is a rhythm to the universe, a breath-like expansion and contraction that mirrors your own rest cycles. Manifestation follows that rhythm. There is a moment to envision and a moment to exhale. Both are sacred. Many people get stuck trying to hold the picture of what they want constantly, fearing they'll lose it if they let go. But that fear keeps them tense, and tension repels. Letting go is not forgetting, it's transitioning into trust. Feel how different it is when you know it's handled. Feel the softness in your shoulders, the release in your breath. What if tonight's sleep is not just a break from the day, but a bridge into the dimension where it's already done? What if every night you allowed yourself to fall, not into unconsciousness, but into the arms of answered prayers? That's what this chapter invites of you. To fall asleep as if it's working, because it is. To close your eyes with the satisfaction of the result, because that vibration is what activates it. Don't rehearse. Don't overthink. Don't try to hold the vision tightly in your conscious mind. It's been planted. Now you let the soil nurture it. You let the divine do what the intellect can't. You stop checking. You start trusting. Something magical happens when you let the night be the caretaker of your dream. The seen reflects the unseen. And the unseen changes when you change how you sleep. When you go to bed relaxed, aligned, complete, not needing, but knowing you radiate the exact signal creation responds to. And whether you see evidence tomorrow or not, it's already begun. The magnetic shift has occurred. And even if the surface shows nothing, the foundation is being rewritten. You don't need to script it again. You don't need to meditate harder. You don't need to loop the end. Affirmation until dawn. Feel what it's like to be answered, and then close your eyes in peace. That is the language the subconscious reads fluently. That is how energy reorganizes. That is how one night becomes the threshold of a new reality. So tonight, as you lie down, don't wonder what more you should do. You've already done the holy part. Let the rest be nocturnal alchemy. Let the silence speak for you. Let your frequency write it into form. Lay back with the grace of someone whose dream is already orbiting, already crystallizing, already appointed to manifest. Because it is. Now, let the night do the work. Stop checking. Start trusting. The moment you start checking is the moment you start chasing. And what you chase, you declare you do not have. The one-night manifestation technique isn't about seeing results instantly with your eyes. It's about trusting that something irreversible has shifted in the unseen. The physical will follow, but the spiritual moves first. And it never misses. Right before sleep, you entered into a sacred agreement with the version of you who already has it. You saw through their eyes. You felt their certainty. You allowed that reality to echo in your emotions and drop into your subconscious like a seed in spring soil. That was the work. That was the signal. Everything else after that belongs to divine timing and your unwavering trust. Many seekers unknowingly interrupt their miracle with questioning. They drift off in faith and wake up in fear. They ask, "Where is it?" instead of saying, "It's done." This creates a loop, a spiraling cycle where the desire constantly resets, like restarting a movie just before the ending plays. But you weren't made to loop. You were made to receive. The subconscious does not operate on rush, lack, or impatience. It speaks in assumption, in knowing, in stillness. So, when you check, whether through a thought, a glance at the clock, or scrolling for signs, you are not seeking confirmation from the outer world. You are revealing a crack in inner certainty. And that's okay. Awareness is liberation. You don't need to force trust. You return to it by choosing again. You choose to believe that unseen forces are en route. You choose to believe that just because you haven't seen it with your eyes doesn't mean it's not granted. The baby seed in the soil makes no sound yet. It grows under cover of silence. So does your manifestation. The most magnetic thing you can do after the technique is nothing. Just be. Just breathe. Just live as you would if it were already true. This doesn't mean pretending or faking it. It means relaxing into the knowing that something is unfolding in precision. You don't call a restaurant every 5 minutes after placing your order. You trust the kitchen heard you. And in the same way, trust that your subconscious has heard the command, received the blueprint, and has begun the construction of your desire in the invisible. The more you can stay in stillness, the stillness of knowing, the faster reality catches up, not because you rushed it, but because you stopped standing in its way. Let yourself fall in love with the silence between the shift and the sign, that spacious womb of becoming, that sacred pause. The more at peace you are in the not yet, the more quickly the already takes form. You don't need a sign to know it's working. You don't need proof to believe. Let belief be your most magnetic proof. When doubt arises, and sometimes it will, don't argue with it. Don't push against it. Just meet it with remembering. Remember how real it felt. Remember the version of you who already had it. Touch that version again, not with force, with feeling, and then let go again. Every time you return to trust, you strengthen the bridge between your inner world and outer experience. One night is not a whisper. It's a frequency. It ripples into days, and those ripples bend time. Don't need to watch the waveform. You just let the ocean move. So tonight, give yourself the gift you've been waiting to receive. Not the manifestation itself, but the trust that it is here. Trust doesn't need confirmation. It is the confirmation. It says, I've already chosen. I've already claimed. I've already received. And then you move through your day as someone who no longer waits, no longer hopes, no longer checks. You move as someone who knows. Stop checking. Start trusting. And watch the invisible, gently and faithfully, become visible. Just like you knew it would. The morning reflects your inner world. Morning doesn't lie. It reflects. It reflects what you believed the night before. It mirrors what you have felt when you drifted off. It whispers to you the story your subconscious was rehearsing while you slept. If your mornings have felt heavy, rushed, or misaligned, don't blame the day. Look to the night. Because your life doesn't begin when the sun rises. It begins when the inner world is planted in the dark. This is why you must treat sleep not just as a pause, but as a passage, a permission, a sacred resetting of the internal stage from which the external world draws its script. When you wake, the world you meet has already been written, and it was written with the invisible ink of belief. Each emotion you allowed yourself to feel before bed, each assumption you breathed, each mental image you let linger, has shaped the frequency you now encounter. That's not magic. That's alignment. Your outer world drinks from the well of your inner certainty. And this is why your one-night manifestation practice doesn't end with sleep. It echoes. It continues. Not with more effort or control, but with quiet observation, acceptance, listening. When you place a desire in your subconscious before bed and feel it deeply enough to believe it, the morning becomes the proof. Not necessarily in the form of the full manifestation arriving instantly, but in signs, in the tone of your thoughts, in the people you meet, in the shifts of synchronicity you can feel, like soft nudges saying, "It's already moving." That is how your morning speaks. And when your eyes open to a world that hasn't yet physically changed, but you feel different, toward it, you've already won. That's the tipping point, where reality has no choice but to follow what's been formed in spirit. Don't disregard the subtle. The shift in your attitude, the wages that follow, unexpected calm, the gentle knowing that something is working behind the scenes. These are not random. They are confirmation. They are the subconscious saying, "Message received." Imagine this. You plant a rose in rich soil. You water it, then go to bed. Not to worry, but to let it root. In the morning, do you dig up the soil to check if it sprouted overnight? No. You trust the polar seed. You tend to the space. You believe in the invisible phase of blooming. That's what your morning after manifestation must feel like. Reverence for what's becoming, even when it's not yet visible. And maybe you've had mornings where doubt races in faster than sunlight. That's okay. You're not failing. You're simply being invited to choose again, to anchor your state not in what appears, but in what you've already assumed to be true. That's what conscious creation is. Relationship with the unseen. Give yourself permission to wake slowly, to listen inward before reaching outward. Don't open your phone. Open your soul. Ask, what was I feeling when I fell asleep? What am I meeting in this moment that matches that energy? And if the answer doesn't feel aligned, don't panic. Use the morning for recalibration. Whisper into your inner world what you wish to see. Not with effort or force, but faith. The most powerful creators don't wait for the world to convince them it's working. They already feel it. And in that feeling, the world rushes to comply. Because law is not partial to proof. Law responds to state. So let your mornings become altars, not alarms. Don't race into action. Wake into awareness. Let your first breath be infused with the knowing that everything has already begun. Because the truth is, your desire has a rhythm. And when you sleep aligned, you step into that rhythm. The morning doesn't create it, it confirms it. Even if nothing has moved yet on the surface, your new state is the seedling. Water it with quiet trust, with soft gratitude, with the simple phrase, "It's already done." Not because you see it, but because you've already felt it. And what is felt, consistently and sincerely, must form. The morning reflects your inner world. So tonight, craft it softly. And tomorrow, watch how the mirror glows. One night can collapse timelines. One night can change everything. And not in the poetic, cliché way the world often throws around, but in the quantum, actual, you feel it in your body kind of way. Reality is not linear. It only appears that way because the mind demands structure. But your soul knows better. It remembers the collapsing, expanding, shape-shifting nature of time. And when you enter sleep in alignment with your end, you're not waiting for your breakthrough. You become the timeline where it has already happened. There's a version of you, right now, living the fulfillment of your deepest desire. A you who didn't work their way there, step by step, but who simply tuned in, felt it, became it, and the universe adjusted accordingly. Time collapses, Not because you speed things up, but because you step out of delay. You stop rehearsing the version of you who's trying to manifest, and instead fall asleep as the one who already has. That's what this night is for. Not to build a result, but to land in the scene where it's done. Just once, with presence so pure, feeling so real, that even the stars take notice. You do not need 21 days, 40 days, or years and years of internal work. You simply need to enter the right frequency and let sleep seal it in. The night is merciful, in ways daytime cannot be. Daytime gives you logic, effort, and planning. But at night, when you are soft, unguarded, impressionable, and open, you can quantum leap and collapse old constructs in a single imaginal act. There is no such thing as too late. No dream that's passed you by. Every potential, every outcome still exists and responds to you instantly when you operate from inner knowing rather than outer effort. You may not see it with your eyes in that moment, but your shift is undeniable. You feel it like a new current running through your being. That is not imagination. That is your new timeline rooting itself into the soil of your life. And this right here, is where time bends. Not forwards, not backwards, but into alignment. Because when you assume it is already yours, there is no path to follow. You are already there. The journey has arrived into you. Let the bed become your portal tonight. Let the covers become the field where possibilities meet. Recall the end not by memory, but by identity. Fall asleep as the one who no longer doubts, no longer longs, no longer waits. See the world as it looks from that fulfilled version. Let your heart soften, let your breath slow, and feel the timeline shift beneath your skin. Do not worry if it feels too easy. It's supposed to. The ego thinks that massive change requires massive effort, but spirit knows otherwise. Spirit creates by resonance. You've already worked so hard with your mind. Now let softness do what struggle never could. One night, sealed by one imaginal act, can reverberate through your entire timeline. Don't overthink the how. Simply go to sleep knowing you've arrived. Live the moment before sleep, as if you are touching the dream, not wondering when it's coming, but experiencing what it's like now that it's here. Your subconscious, timeless and loyal, will pick up that signal as reality. And reality, ever responsive to your frequency, will reorganize around the assumption you fell asleep with. You don't need to keep proving your worth or deservingness. You are already it. You are the source and solution, the dreamer and the dream. One night of deep embodiment can erase lifetimes of delay. Because in the eternal now, only one thing matters, the state you go to sleep in. Make tonight that night, the night you accept, absorb, and align. No pressure, no forcing, just presence, just permission, just the felt sense that it is done. And when you open your eyes tomorrow, you may not know how it rearranged, but your body will know. The field will feel thinner, the signs more obvious, the air more charged, because the timeline shifted, and you, the real you, shifted with it. Make sleep your manifestation temple. Sleep is not an escape, it is a sanctuary, not a pause but a portal. Each night you are given a divine invitation to enter the most receptive magnetic chamber of your consciousness. And here's the miracle. You don't have to do more, affirm harder, or visualize longer. You simply have to turn sleep into your sacred space. A temple where faith, feeling, and the fulfilled desire meet and merge. Think of it, while the world winds down and silence wraps around the room, your inner world opens wide. This is the moment you step beyond rehearsing and begin remembering, a memory not of the past, but of the future already lived. Your bed becomes the altar, your feelings the offering. What you fall asleep to, you worship, and what you worship, you become. Have you noticed how sleep feels like surrender? That perfect blend of softness, trust, and letting go. That is the exact frequency your desires need. Not pushing, not craving, just allowing. Temples are quiet for a reason. They are still, not vacant but vibrating. And your consciousness, in this sleepy state, becomes electric with possibility. When you close your eyes at night, you are not shutting out the world. You are returning to where everything begins. What you focus on in this final hour crystallizes, not because you try harder, but because you become available. Creation doesn't happen by force. It's a romance between your awareness and imagination, and sleep is when they meet without resistance. So you don't need to recite 100 affirmations. You don't need to script every detail. You just need to feel it, truly feel it, and trust your subconscious to carry the sacred message into the unseen. It does not forget what you whisper as you drift away. It preserves it, protects it, projects it. That's why this isn't about doing something before bed. It's about becoming something before bed. Becoming the version of you who already possesses it, settling into the satisfaction of it being done. Like slipping into warm water, you sink into the assumption. And the deeper you go, the faster it flows. Your bed is not where you delay your dream life. It is the womb that births it. And if you knew just how powerful this nightly return is, you would prepare for it like ritual. You would choose your final thoughts with reverence, not reactivity. You would place your desire on the altar of your mind, and let love wash over it, until nothing in you says someday. Only now, only here. This is the intimacy no one teaches, the inner union, where you meet yourself already living what you've asked for. The joy of it, the security of it, the ordinary beauty of it. That scene you play just once each night, true, simple, and emotionally alive, becomes holy with repetition, not because you're forcing it, but because you're trusting it. Let your pillow hold more than your head. Let it hold the version of you who already made it, the one who landed defiant, fell in love, earned the abundance, healed the body, lived the vision. Nestle into sensation, not effort. Drift on emotion, not logic. And as you do, you declare, "This is now. I am home." No ritual is more potent than the state you sleep in. No spell stronger than your final feeling. And no desire is unreachable when you rest as though it's already yours. If sleep is your temple, make faith your prayer. Make imagination your incense. Make gratitude your sacred chant. And then close your eyes and enter. Creation begins here.